Okay, and we're live. Hope you guys can hear me. I'm gonna start diving right in. So my name is Sixel. I have been using Flash for over a decade. I'm going to be using Macromedia Flash today. It's an older program, but it works pretty well for this purpose, and all the tools are pretty much the same anyway. So, don't know if anyone here has experience with Flash. It's a pretty old program. It's been around a long time, but pretty basic. This is Macromedia Flash. I like using it because I can almost always find a cracked copy. You don't have to pay a subscription for this, so that's why I go for it. Alright, so starting out, got our menu and our tools. We'll go over quick first. Guess I can go over a new one too. How you start a new file. Start a new Flash document. I have presets to always go 400 by 400 pixels because I mostly just like making animated icons. That's my favorite thing. You can set your frame rates. So I'm a big fan of 20 frames per second. I know it's not 24, but you can go 24. I'll set it there now. You can set your background color down in properties. You can make it pretty wacky. I usually just go for a default white. You have your timeline. This is like your most important little menu here. It shows all your frames, your keyframes, all your layers. The layers in here, it's kind of, in a way, it's kind of similar to Photoshop. You got your layers, but we also go to the side for keyframes. Alright. I got my brush here. I can set the taper on if you have a tablet. Mouse works fine too. I use mouse for many a year. You have a pencil as well if you're a fan of no taper. Oh, I guess I should also mention Flash is vector. So if it means if I'm drawing something I can resize to any point, and at no point will it ever get blurry. It's kind of nice, like that. Alright, any questions so far on those tools? I'm just going to go real basic, so like brush, eraser, bucket. Oh yeah, if you ever hated having to close gaps, or do like Photoshop buckets, this is real nice because if I make sure this is closed off, it feels like a dream. Look at that. That's as far as I go in. No pixels. Pixels are dead to us. We're in Flash now. Alright, just double checking the... Where's the main event? Lobby, double check. Alright, well, so I set up a little example character to animate this time. I was hoping if anyone was actually watching, if they wanted to be a victim, I was going to animate a little Among Us style of the mascot for Howl. So I thought that would be kind of cute and topical this year. So, we've gone over some of the menus, gone over the basic tools. Probably the fastest way to show it is to just start using it. So, I'm going to start off just drawing my little character here, because, you know, we're doing basics and giving characters life, so this is the character we're going to do this time. I am a sucker for just using a straight black line. Like this brush. Oh, brushes in Flash. In later versions of Flash, you can set it so that your brush scales with your zoom. This is an older version, so I have to be a little bit more mindful that my brush size gets smaller as I zoom in. It can be a little annoying, but as long as you're mindful of it, it doesn't usually mess you up too much. It's actually a thing in like Flash shows, especially before they kind of counteracted that problem, that they would make a note for animators what size brush they should be using. We're going to do this one really simply. Another nice little feature of Flash. I've gotten compliments on this before and they're not very earned because people say your lines are very smooth. This is a vector program and there is actually an auto smoothing on the lines. Let's see if I can show that off. So I have my line set to a 45 smooth. You can go more. This is what they look like at a 0. A little bit janky. We don't necessarily want that. I find anything over 50 gets a little bit, let's see. No? Come on. Okay, that's 100, so you can check out. It gets a little bit weird. It doesn't really follow as closely to what your line looks like. It'll smooth it as soon as I lift off my mouse or my stylus. So as you can see, it gets a little bit weird if you do anything over, I find, 50. So 50 to 45 is pretty accurate to what you're drawing, with also that nice smoothing to make things just a little bit easier. It's like a little bunny dude. That could be better. Close enough. I'm not going to try and make anything too perfect today. Although it's very easy with something that's vector-based to get a little bit too involved in the lines, I find. Here's an example. So let's say I wanted to, make a connection a little bit nicer. Because this is vector-based, I can use my direct select tool. I think that's sub-selection tool. There we go. The little white arrow box or thinger. I can just go in and I can delete extra points I don't like. This is another little cheat for making things look a little bit nicer without having to redraw the whole line. It's usually faster to redraw the line, but let's say you got it mostly close, but you just want to make it that much little bit more special. You can go in and edit stuff. It's kind of nitpicky things. But it can make your lines that much nicer if you feel like it. Gotta give him his little mask there. Oof, should I do that with a black line? I guess I could. There's also different modes for your brush tool. I can actually draw behind what I've already drawn. Right now I'm just drawing on top of everything, which is like your normal default. You can do paint fills only, you can do paint selection only. So if I select something, I can paint in there. This is what the behind tool looks like. See, I'm putting it behind that paint fill. It's on the same layer, so it's affected by the thing on top. Can't promise this is going to look amazing, but it'll do the job. I'm actually going to do this in red, paint over top, so I can subtract out Ooh, that's a little drink. Could delete out that little bit. I'll just pretend that I planned this better from the start. Any questions on the brush tool so far? Yeah, we're wearing a mask over the spacesuit. I thought it'd be pretty cute. I'm gonna do the eye part later. And I'm gonna do color fill later, partially just because that'll make things a little bit easier. Alright, we'll go back out to our main thing here. Alright, so next slide. Frames, layers, and onion skin. We already talked about the layers a little bit. They are... Oh. My cat is going crazy behind me. Here are the layers up near the top here. You can see I have my... There's my little frame cards. I have my example sketch on its own little layer. I advise always keeping your sketch layer, like with other drawing programs, just keep it on a bottom layer. Like, don't touch it directly unless you want to. Oh yeah, that's also a good point about Flash. You can touch anything directly in Flash unless you have it locked. So I always lock anything I don't want to touch right now, because if I didn't, it doesn't matter what order this is. This is not Photoshop. I don't have to be on the selected layer to touch anything. As you can see, it lights up there as a highlight. So lock anything down that you don't want to touch. It's the big takeaway I want you to have. Because it always sucks when you're animating on multiple layers and you realize, oh no, I just deleted something under it or erased something underneath this without meaning to. So that's layers. You can also do groups, but they're not generally advisable in most studios that I know of anyway that use Flash. Let's see. Let's go into frames a bit. So I have the timeline here. You can see the little ticks for all the frames. It actually lists which frame number you're on down here. So I'm on frame 1. You can scroll over to frame 3. And you can see these little black dots. Those are keyframes. So keyframe looks like, put this on an example. Your keyframe will look like a little dot on your line, on your layer. If it was empty, it'd be an empty dot, like so. So what happened there? My drawing went away. So that's, if you put in an empty keyframe, you are just saying, this is a frame that is empty here, I want it to replace this layer, or this frame on this layer. It's not gone forever though, it's just over here, you can see, it's still back there. I actually want to do a new keyframe using what I already have here. Maybe I should have gone into symbols first. We can do it later. Alright, so I'm going to, using F6 is my hotkey for add a new keyframe. I've added, so they look exactly the same. Well, that's because we haven't changed anything just yet, but we will. In this keyframe, oh yeah, and here, I'm going to turn on the onion skin while I do this. This is going to show me a little ghosty of my previous frame while I work. I'm taking my lasso tool and I'm going to use my free transform tool, set a little pivot point. I'm kind of going fast through this, but oh no, I had the sketch unlocked. See, look at that. I accidentally touched my sketch. Whoops. Lock that. Go back, lock it. Set a pivot for my transform tool, which is also a really nice feature that I haven't really been able to utilize in Procreate for animating just yet. Oh, look at that. Look at that little monster dude. He's all flipped on his side. So you can see this little ghost image of my previous frame. There's the previous frame, and because of the onion skin tool, you can see the next frame and the previous frame. I can set the sensitivity of this by just dragging across these little doohickeys. It'll become more obvious as we move along. I'm gonna turn off for a sec, follow my sketch. Is anyone playing Among Us the other day? I'm hoping to maybe join in on a game. There we go. Oh yeah, and I also gave him little ears flipped back. There are more nice ways, I guess, of doing this kind of animation. This is very frame by frame that I'm copy-pasting things around on a bit. Normally, when I would work with symbols more, but we're going to go into that a little bit later. That's coming out thick. Turn off tilting. You know, sometimes you just cannot get these lines. I've been using Adobe's Animate Flash more recently. Yeah, it's actually a lot nicer for their line work. But it's for work, like my day job, so I figured I would just go back to my old favorite for this. Boop. Ah, that's good enough. Alright, so got our layers, got our frames, got our onion skin. I guess I should have given him some little lines on his thing. We can always color those lines later. Alright, next slide. Any questions so far? Yeah, Vanilla, those vectors are very sweet. It's very hard to go back to anything pixel-based afterwards. Alrighty, so we're going to go into some timing, symbols, and animating. Kind of guess we're starting to do that already. Look at that little dude. I'm going to actually put this, what we've done so far, in a symbol. So symbols, for those who are not used to Flash, are kind of like, okay, I'm not a proper teacher. I've learned all I know through just like Flash tutorials for the most part, like a decade ago. But I guess an easy way to describe them would be, they're kind of their own little like scene within a scene. You can use them as a scene within a scene. You can use them for assets. They're very versatile. They have their own timeline and their own ways that they interact with your timeline. For our purposes, we're just going to be using graphic symbols. But there are such things as movie clip symbols, which are a little less directly controllable for the way we're using it. I'm going to cut these frames. Did I do that correct? Yeah, cut frames. Insert new symbol. Look at this. We're inside a symbol. It is a blank void until we give it some life. I've pasted our current frames in there. Look at him. He's so cute. So sus. I guess this is a good time to talk about the library real quick. I already have it open. There we go. Don't know actually if that shows up on here. Maybe not. I think I have it popped out. That might be why. Let me see if I can just move that into. group width real quick. There we go. That should be visible now. So, I think I had some other stuff in here that we don't need. I was gonna try and put in a different object earlier. Anyway, here. So now, this lives in a little symbol. This is very useful for us. No, that's still not a symbol. This is very useful for us because it means this animation that used to live in our main timeline is now kind of a little bit more independent in a way. I can move it to the main part of the stage if I want. I can resize it. Symbols are awesome. I can also do really cool stuff with it, like if I select it and go to my properties, because it is a graphic symbol we can see here, I can set it to loop, play only the first frame of its timeline, play once. I have a lot more control over it now that it doesn't live on my main timeline. I'll just have it set to loop as the default. I mean, you can also do really fun things like tint it, so I could make it any color I want now. Well, I'll just keep it its normal color. None. But yeah, we can go back in a sec. So we're going to go over timing. That was a little bit brief intro into symbols. Animating was our next point. Okay, so you can see I'm in right now. I am inside the symbol. So I can go back to the main timeline by going back or to scene 1. To get into it, I just click into it. It's got its own little... I can do as many layers in here as I feel like. It's just like the stage, except it's nice and contained. I'm gonna make a new keyframe. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna put... It's gonna have a little chainsaw come out instead of that crazy tongue. I love that little animation in Among Us. It's really cute. I'm gonna put the chainsaw actually on a different layer. So as you can see in the timeline, there's nothing in this chainsaw layer up until this point. Gosh, I'm very special at lines today. You know what I think it is? I think I'm falling prey to that thing I talked about where the line weight changes based on proximity of the camera. Come on. I can do this shape. That's not a circle. A little closer. We'll go for that. Good enough. Because this is a nice vector. I can also reposition it kind of however I want. It's pretty versatile. I find it really hard to go back to like Photoshop after this. I've locked my main base layer for the character. That's tongue-like, right? Yeah. Just gonna draw very simply. Should we try and have the chainsaw bit move? Because I bet you we could if we really wanted to. What do you guys think? Anyone watching? Should we have the chainsaw bit cycle 1 or 2 frames just for fun? Electric tongue. Okay, that's all I needed. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and actually make this part into a symbol too. We're going deep in the symbols. Let's make this little saw thingy its own little chain saw. This is actually kind of a similar thing you would do if you wanted to make like a wiggly icon. Ooh, and I keep forgetting that I can actually change my little... Now we're filled with inspiration. Evil, evil inspiration. If you're doing like something like a wiggly icon, it's kind of a similar idea where you're just kind of drawing the same thing slightly different. I like working on twos, so I'm gonna keep doing that. Oh, and I just realized I should probably put... I'm gonna cut this buddy here, because he's not gonna move. He's gonna be on top. And you can use Control-Alt-V to paste in place. If I was going to paste just Control-V, it would put it just kind of in the center of my screen. Just handy if you don't want it to be in the exact same space, or spot, but I do. So there's the blade part. I'm gonna make a really quick little... Or how much time do we have left? Okay, we're halfway. Alright. So we got our blade, got this part. I'm gonna add a brand new keyframe, but I still want to see, you know, what that old keyframe looked like, so I can make sure it looks different enough that it gives an illusion of being maybe moved. Oh, that's the wrong one. There we go. This is the chain. New keyframe. You can also, I'm using hotkeys for this, but you can also do insert blank keyframe here. So like that one. I think if we have time, I'll probably try and animate like a character blinking or like a wiggliness, so you guys get an impression of what that's like. 'Cause that's probably more of a general indication of what it's like to give life to a character, but man, I just had this idea and I was like, oh, I have to do it. Let's see, what does this look like so far? Oh yeah. Well, I could also add... I did one that was kind of looked like an in-between of the two. But I could do a frame in the middle that's even in between that. So I'm kind of just going for a little bit of that in-between space. We'll see what this looks like. It could be terrible. I've never tried to do a chainsaw before, but you know, there's a first time for everything. They don't have to be polar opposites, as long as they're different enough. Oh wow, those are some small teeth, but this could still work fine. Oh yeah, we should talk about how to test your animation. I'm within a symbol, so I think the control for that is, I think, Control-Shift-Enter. Oh, no, that's debugging. Let's see. Control-Alt-Shift-Enter? I've also been on Mac so long I don't know the buttons. Let's see, preview. How do I preview? Just... I honestly don't remember that shortcut. But we can see what that looks like a little bit here. There we go. Good enough for this. I'm actually going to go ahead and color this in now because I don't think we're doing anything else to this chainsaw. It's not really going to have any more keyframes. I can talk about the photo bucket a little bit more. What does a chainsaw look like? It's kind of like lighter on the inside and darker on the chain, I think. I'm going to paint behind so I don't inadvertently touch my lines. So I've used Paint Bucket. I usually keep my... You can close gaps. You can have it close gaps for you. That is a thing it will do. So that, you know, if I got almost there, let's say I got real lazy and I mostly made it to close off those lines. You can ask it to very politely finish the job for you. It's not the most accurate though. You can see it's still filled even though I left some gaps. But I generally like to fill the gaps as much as possible. Under certain circumstances, sometimes Flash will be a dick and it'll leave just the smallest imperceptible gap in lines that you've closed, but that's not always the case. If it comes up, I'll show you guys. Oh yeah, now I want to be on. There we go. Yay, chainsaw. That's it. Does that read as a chainsaw? Should I add a little bolt or anything to it? Maybe like a little... I'm not going to Google what they look like right now, but maybe a little... something like that will make it read a little bit clearer. Okay, so... the fact that we can see past this is okay for now, because when we go back and color our little sus rabbit later, it won't be visible anymore because it is underneath. But we're going to have that play a little bit, because this is also a graphic symbol. We're going to have that loop. If I wanted, I could have it start at a different keyframe, like 2 or 4. But you can have it looped the same, but I'll just have it looped through. And as long as the frames, let's see, there's a total of 6 frames in here. As long as my main timeline is always at least divisible by 6, it won't have any trouble looping. So by that I mean it'll play through without it jittering too much or anything. It's the secret to a good loop. Make sure your frames and your timeline are all synced up in a way. Alright. That was a little taste of the animation. I think the next slide was over here. Oh no, I think we just keep animating for a bit. I got my sketch down below. So I think that next frame I just had the tongue snap back. Probably end up doing some sort of masking or something so that it doesn't literally pop out the back. You know, I'm gonna see how this looks if we have it pop out. I'll just zip back in real quick. For animating, the amount you move stuff is kind of how fast it looks like it's moving. So maybe I'd have it start a little bit lower here just to pops all the way out. But animating things on an angle is always a little bit spesh. Oh, you can also copy and paste keyframes around so that you're making things even. I'm actually going to put that a little closer to that spot so it looks like it starts moving back and then pops back in suddenly. So I'll do another 2 frames, disappear, and then I am going to have this guy pop back into his I have just killed a fool pose. To do that, I am going to actually copy my first frame. Over here, he should have also now a little mouth. I'm always a little sad they don't eat the other players. I wish they did. Seems like it would just be a little bit more creepy somehow. And I'm also going to give this character just a tiny bit of squish. Squash and stretch is a huge part of animation in general. It makes things look alive or like they're anticipating things. So this is I guess you would call, I think this would be this is like a squash. I can't remember the word for it. It's not an anticipation. It's like it's reacting to that. So it's going to squash down a little bit. I still have his ears being back for this. Again, there are nicer ways to animate than this that involve symbols, which I know a lot of people are like, ooh, symbols. And think that it is a cheat, but it is a way to have a lot more detail that you can put into a character a lot quicker. So when I animate, I'm usually using, especially for commissions and icons, I use a lot of symbols. I move those around to give it a little bit more life, because frame by frame is tedious and very expensive. It looks cool though. It's very rewarding. I've worked on shows where we do that, where we do frame by frame and we don't have quote-unquote builds for our characters, and they're nice, but you need a schedule for them. You need to pay the people that time. That's been Sixel's rant on frame by frame animation. Alrighty, so now he's chomped. And I think all I did after that was literally just the first frame again. I could just have it loop this way, or I can keep it like that. So, you know, if I did this all symbol based, I wouldn't have to worry about coloring each frame. You can see how he looks already. I'm going to really quickly throw out a little white card in here so we can show off our little dude in all of his glory. There, see? Symbols. So handy. Oh, why aren't you working? Alright, he goes to 20. See, here's an important thing. This animation goes to 20 frames. Main timeline only goes to 15. The whole animation will not play. There we go. I'm going to set the frame rate a little bit lower, because then it'll play a little bit slower. Scaling down even further so he's visible. So here's what we got so far. Pretty simple. This is very, very simply animating. But as you can see, it's pretty easy to get even just this far in 40 minutes. Alright, let's color this bad boy and do all our little finishing touches. Any questions so far? What's the sound of a chainsaw bunny? Oh gosh, I don't know. Aw, thanks, Tamers. I do like making icons. It is my favorite. I think back in the days of like DeviantArt, I started learning how to use Flash just by like tutorials online on DeviantArt. And I thought to myself, gosh, these are fun to make. If only I could figure out a way to get people to pay me to do this. Like, I just want to make little looping animations. Because they're fun. I wonder if anyone would pay me to do this. And then, not very long after that, I got into furry. And wouldn't you know it, there were a lot of people willing to pay me to do little looping animations that I could publish as GIFs. Does he wear a little white mask, do you think, or a blue one? So, what color should we pick for this guy? It's a little bit more of an off pink, I think, right? Go a little into the purple territory. I really should have put the ref in here from the start. White. Hockey mask is white. Alright, thanks, Vanilla. Do we do... I'll do white for the mask. I was going to add an eye if there's time, the little... Sorry for the sound of my chair. Could do one of those little... Oh, that's not red. Red. That's a terrible star. But we gotta get this going. Alright. If we add that in, it'll live on its own layer. Because this isn't symbol based, so we would have to add it frame by frame. I'm just gonna go through really quick and color. Oh, and just because something is white on your timeline does not mean it is filled with white and will block things underneath it. Important to note. When we go to publish this, I'm going to publish it just as GIF, because I like GIF. Anything that is not filled in will be considered transparent by Flash, which is nice, sometimes, if you want that. Try and quickly add in his little eye. I'm gonna speed run the last of this if we can. The little chainsaw comes out. I should make a little mask. Oh yeah, we can talk about masks. If you work in any other art program, you probably already know how to use masks. You draw a little zone of where the thing can be visible. And then it's only visible there. There we go. I'm going to add some more frames to this part so we get the full effect of that chainsaw. Alright, and then we go back to... Fortunately, it's not always... Usually when I'm color picking through, I'm not having to do frame by frame quite like this. So it's not usually such a pain. I don't usually have to go sample the colors back from a previous frame. But I figured, you know, when you're starting out, this is, I think a lot of people will just animate kind of like this, very frame by frame when they're starting, and there's nothing wrong with that. Make sure I have those white parts filled in. A good way to see if I did that correctly is sometimes I'll set my background to whites. If I hid that white layer, I can see what has been filled in and what hasn't. Copy over, paste that star into the proper spot. Apologies for your bleeding eyeballs on that green. Just trying to make sure I save stuff over correctly. And white. Alright, I think that's pretty much all we're gonna do. Let's get that nice white background back. Thanks. Alright, and let's look at the finished product. Oh, right. We went up to, what was it? Ooh, 32. This is at 32 now. If this was a movie clip symbol, it would not matter what the inside frame is, or frame length is. It would just play properly regardless. But with graphic symbols, if you're going to use them like this, they need to be the proper length. 30, 30. And let's make it a little faster now that we're... I'll actually probably make the, I'm just going to set this to play once, because I'm going to let it have a little bit more resting time between, so it doesn't look like it's just looping as quick. Oh. No, not single frame. Play once. There we go. And there you go. I wish he bounced a little bit different. Enter. Yeah, maybe if I had him squished just a teeny bit more. Just using your transform tool. Squish him. A bit more bounce. You can flip through your frames really easily this way. Alright, how much time do we have left? We got 10 minutes. We can go over quickly how to publish just from Macromedia. Adobe has a more robust way of saving that isn't always as web-friendly as I would like. I usually have to use more than one program if I'm saving from Animate. So I can show you just my settings for my very coveted settings that I use for publishing from Macromedia Flash. If we have a second, I can try and add a little quick blink maybe to his little eye. Nothing super fancy, or I can just show on the side how to do a little eye blink. Oh, if I'm previewing, it's not showing for you guys. Okay, one sec. I think I know how to fix that. If I switch over from the way I'm viewing this right now, I'm gonna have to close temporarily the streaming. I only have one screen, so let's see. Thanks for the heads up, Tamrin. Alright, can you guys... There, now you're looking at my screen. I don't know if we're seeing like a million things right now. Hopefully it's not opened a portal to hell or anything. There we go. This is how we preview it. So that's just Control-Enter. We'll show you a little, the little swiff of what you're working on. It's true that Flash Player isn't going to be supported by web browsers after December, but that doesn't mean you can't still use it for animation. Many studios still use it for animation. They haven't made the switch to TV Paint or Harmony yet. So I still like using it for making GIFs and stuff. It's still, to me, better than using, like, I don't know, Photoshop, Image Ready, things that are pixel-based. I haven't really tried Clip Studio yet, but that's just because I keep forgetting to buy it. And I'm a little lazy because I've already got my favorite program, but I'm sure that one's also really fun too. Alright, I'm going to just switch back to that one. Alright. I'm going to really quickly show how to save. Oh yeah, newer versions of Adobe do have a an autosave. Macromedia doesn't. I know I'm probably not making Macromedia sound that great, but it's pretty fun. You just have to manually save. I'm gonna call this one finished. So under published settings, you can save it as a Swift file, which will pretty much be exactly as it shows you when you do that Control-Enter and preview your Swift. If you were doing things like, what's it called? ActionScript, which is really fun to work with, but it's not going to be supported in browsers anymore. If you were doing stuff like that, you'd be able to test it through there as well. Oh, it's not showing my settings either. Okay, I will just have to leave it on here. Does not want to show those options. Alright, so, publish settings, Flash. You can do Swift, you can do HTML. I haven't really tried HTML on here. I usually go for GIF, JPEG, PNG. I haven't really messed around too much with QuickTime because I'm not on a Mac, and I'm not usually posting anything super long. Has the options for animated. My usual is to do down to 100 by 100. I'm not gonna do interlaced. I'm not doing transparency in here, so we don't have to worry about that. We could though, if we wanted to. Maybe let's see what that looks like. I usually set it to adaptive. I don't know if that really makes a huge difference, but I set it to max colors, adaptive, interlace, optimize colors. Make sure it's animated, otherwise it's just going to be a really ugly looking GIF. And yeah, we publish. We hope that Flash isn't displeased by us that day and crashes right when we publish. If it was going to crash, that would be the moment. But this is a really small file, so it should be fine. For vanity, I'm going to give him a little blink right at the end. Give ourselves a few little frames there. If you ever want to do a really, really, really simple, quick type blink, you can literally just do like a little line for that. I am going to have him do a little double blink, like, what, me? I'm not the imposter. How could you think that? Sorry, my husband is home in the background and unloading groceries. We'll see if this reads real fast. Maybe I'll do that on 3s. Go up to 55. Keeping in mind, I want him to end on an open eye. Closed, open, closed, open, again. There we go. And that's how you give life to a little dude. I hope that this was educational for you guys. I hope you learned a thing about Flash. A lot of you probably already know how to do some of this really basic stuff like this. And that's cool. But it doesn't hurt to have a refresher. And if you ever want to draw something in here that maybe you want it to move afterwards, this is a fun way to do that. I'm trying to see if I can test out the file. Dropbox does not want to open. So, just take my word for it. It's saved as a GIF. Any questions right at the end? I think we got 4 minutes. In which I will hide my browser and just play this repeatedly for you guys. Don't mind the background noise. Oh, no problem. Thanks for watching, guys. Dropbox, you want to open so I can make sure that file's saved? Oh, it did. Alright. Oh no, you're gonna see my folder structure. Oh no. let's see, did I have? I thought I had a convention. Panels. Got our little GIF. Did it save? There we go. And this is something that I'm gonna send to Tamers afterwards, and she can do whatever she wants with it. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming. It was a pleasure. I hope you have a great rest of Howl. Thanks to the staff for hosting me. And yeah, have a great night, guys. Oh, let's now we are not filled with inspiration, but victory. I've been Sixel. Have a great rest of con. Bye, guys.
Silver Gatoman, he bought me a coffee. Silver Gatoman, here is the song for thee. He likes to video all the panels at the cons. You should go and watch them whether they are short or long. Silver Gatoman, you video that's not a jibe. All of you go to his YouTube channel and like and subscribe.